Hey everyone, welcome back to Across the Gridiron. It's Eddie here, and today I am flying solo. And you know what that means? It means I can talk quarterbacks, I can talk about the international scene, and of course, I can talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So buckle up because we've got quite an amazing show for you today in store. Um, let's see. We want to look at second year quarterbacks and whether they're going to surge or slump. So that would be good. The 2024 rookie class. So that's the people I'm going to be looking at. And then we're going to take a round trip around the NFL, look at the international scene because the NFL isn't just an American sport right now. I'm here in the United Kingdom doing a podcast on American football just to show you how global the sport is. And then, of course, finally, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, right? Of course, we have to because when Dak talks about waiting for his sanity and Micah starts issuing contract warnings, you know it's worth watching, right? So, guys, let's get straight into it. So, let's talk about the second year quarterbacks. And 2024 gave us one of the exciting rookie QB classes, I think, for quite a while, actually, because we had a number of quarterbacks that really, really gave incredible performances. And then 2025 is going to be a real test. I think it really is. This is where hype meets film, room meets reality. Um, I think 2025 is going to be a test for a lot of these quarterbacks, right? Because in the first year, there wasn't a lot on, especially in the NFL scene. And it's really going to depend on which quarterback is going to make the most adjustment. Because you know what's going to happen, right? As we go into the off season, coaches, defensive coordinators are going to be going through all that tape and they're going to be figuring out, which of these guys, what are their tendencies, right? And there's a reason why it's called the sophomore slump, because it is a pattern. Now, I was reading somewhere that over 30%, of rookie QBs regress in their second year. And usually it's not just because of talent, right? It's pressure, it's injuries, it's the tape catching up on them. So now Jaden Daniels, we've talked about him before, rookie of the year, led Washington to their NFC title game. NFC title game. That is absolutely incredible. And looked every bit the modern NFL quarterback, right? He's got that dual threat. He can run, he can throw. So expectations right now are sky high. People are talking about the Washington Commanders as the second best team in the NFC East right now. So can he read those disguise coverages, right? Because that's what's going to be happening in year two. Can he win when his legs isn't working? When he doesn't have a running back, they've stopped the run. Can he win when Scary Terry has been shut down, right? And now he has to go to another player, right, and get that ball in. Can he do that? I think that's really going to be interesting. And then there's Bo Nix, who quietly had a stellar season. Not only did he have over 3,000 yards in passing, I think he had 29 touchdowns and took the team to the playoffs. But now he faces a different challenge, right? More blitzes, more responsibility at the line, and a defense that knows where to hit him. And that is a tough division, right? When you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes, you're in for a tough ride. And then you've got Drake May up in New England. Now, he had a very shaky start into his career, but soon grew and grew and grew into the role. And he was solid. You can see he's got intelligence as well. He's got poise. But is there enough talent around him to develop the way he needs to go? Now, Stefan Diggs has gone over there to the New England Patriots. How is that going to shift the needle? Is that going to allow Drake May to take that next step, as a quarterback in the NFL? And then Michael Penix Jr., he came in late. There was a whole drama of Kirk Cousins who just getting paid, and then you go ahead and draft Michael Penix Jr. And he looked calm. He looked calm on the fire when he eventually came in because he didn't start right away. He was one of the late ones that got in. But he could be a sleeper, right? In the 2025 because I don't think anyone is giving him a lot of attention. But he looked quite decent when he came into the game. So that's another one to look out for. And then there's JJ McCarthy in Minnesota, right? Now, he was an unfortunate one because he looked very good in the preseason and then was hit by injury. So he sat the whole season out. Now, he's healthy. He's been handed the keys since Sam Darnold has left. His mechanics, grips, ball placement, impressive. at least just from that first couple of, plays that we saw him do in the preseason game. Now it's all about consistency. Can he actually take it further now that he's the man under the center? Well, Spencer Rattler from the Saints, that fizzled very quickly, the experiment. And of course, they've drafted Tyler Shocks this season. So, yeah, I think that says a lot, about that one there. Bottom line, year two is about durability, guys. It's about development. It's about the player that has been putting in the craft in the off season, away from the spotlight, because you're going to be judged a lot more harshly in your second year than in your first year, because everyone gives you that rookie break. Oh, he's a rookie. He's going to learn. But in your second year, people are expecting you to take it to the next level. So talent really gets you drafted, like they all say. But execution under pressure is what gets you that second contract, right? So let's switch up a little bit, guys, and talk about the global takeover of the NFL. As a fan here sitting in the United Kingdom, I absolutely love this topic, right? Because most people who are probably new to the NFL might think this is just about homegrown talent. It's just about people who've lived in America, and playing the game. But that's outdated, really, because the NFL is now quietly becoming a global brand, and they are really doing all they can to send the message of the NFL far and wide. Look at the international games that we've got. We've got games now in the United Kingdom. We've got games in Dublin, Ireland. We've got games in Germany. We've got games in Spain, games in Mexico. So it's really, really great now. And the talent pipeline is opening up, right? So let's start with Jordan Mailata, right? Dude played rugby in Australia, never played a down of American football before the Eagles took a chance on him. And fast forward, he's anchoring the O-line of the Philadelphia Eagles and a $64 million deal. That's insane, right? Now, here's my personal favorite, Prince Tega Wanogo. Born in Nigeria, raised in Delta State, and played at Auburn. Got 2 rings with the Chiefs, and now brings that experience to the Jaguars. And his story, I really, really love, right? Because when I was reading up on him, there was, he came into the US initially to play basketball, and then he had a severe injury. And then it seemed like, things were coming to a screeching halt. Then he switched gears to the NFL, and look here, he's now a Super Bowl champions. Kudos to him. Really, really makes me proud to hear that sort of story. Then we got Nelson Aguilar as well, Lagos born. He's still out there catching patches for Baltimore. He's also got a Super Bowl as well, with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then there's Emmanuel Ogba, 40 plus sacks and counting, another Nigerian born talent making plays in the trenches. And then there's Praise Olatoke. Now, the story is wild. From Lagos to Glasgow to Los Angeles Chargers via the NFL International Player Pathway Program. And he ran a 4.36. That's good. Really, really good. So I also love the tunnel walks. Everyone see that, especially if you watch not Good Morning football, but Game Day Football. Yes, the one with Rich Eisen. They always do the tunnel walks. And I love to see it, right? I love to see the pride, the Ankara prints, you can almost see the swag coming out from the players who are proud to actually reflect their heritage. So for me, it's not, I think the game is, the NFL game, we've grown to love it. I've grown to love it. I started watching this game back in 2007. And, obviously started supporting the Dallas Cowboys as well. And I consume NFL American football like there is no tomorrow. I'm constantly listening to stuff and reading up on stuff, which is why, other than the Dallas Cowboys, who I love, I know a lot about what also happening across the league because I pay attention. I watch every game, funny enough. And that's the beauty. When you're actually outside the United Kingdom, it's great to be able to sit back and watch all the games. I watch all the games, maybe because of fantasy, but also just to understand and learn the game a little bit more, right? Because I feel like even with all the years of watching the game and being able to recognize a number of things, there's still a lot in the game that I still don't know because I wasn't born in the United States. I didn't grow up on American football, but I've grown to love the game. And for me right now, it's probably neck and neck, with the English Premier League in terms of my love. Obviously, if you watch this channel, you know that I love Arsenal Football Club in the United Kingdom. But right now, NFL love is really right up there. I probably watch as much NFL as I do football, probably even more, NFL than Premier League nowadays. So, absolutely love it. And I'll be going to watch the international games when they come over. Some great games, especially the one in the United Kingdom. Already got my tickets to Wembley and also to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So really, really love the NFL, really love the content, and I'm so glad to see the NFL really, really taking off. And we'll probably do this topic again when Matt is back. Just talking about some of the players from the international program, because there are lots of players out there that I didn't even talk about today. And maybe it'll be good to do a segment or so, on this. So guys, let me know what you guys think, especially about this segment. Did you like it? Do you want me to focus a little bit more about it? Especially those of you who are Nigerian descent, big ups to the Nigerian players who are stepping into the NFL and are doing big things as well. Right. Okay. Let's switch things up. Let's go to Big D. Head to Texas. Big D's buzzing, but maybe not for the right reasons, right? We've heard the story of Dak Prescott. Let's start with him, right? He's the man, right, in Dallas. And, Dak said, I want to win a championship for my sanity. Now, I don't know if that's confidence, pressure, or just exhaustion talking, but you can feel the weight in that statement. Dak has been a statistical machine. He's over 38,000 passing yards in his career. A lot of people don't talk about that because usually they say, what has he done in the postseason? But when it matters most, December, Dallas collapses. And I'm sure that Dak Prescott feels that because that's what everyone, throws against him. I think that Dak Prescott would have won that MVP the year that Lamar won it when he actually statistically did better than Lamar, but everyone kept using the postseason as a knock on him, which is quite ironical because Lamar doesn't really do much in the postseason. But I digress. It's been heartache for the Dallas Cowboys fans and for me as well. It's tough, right? Because you see the regular season, and boy, do we look good during the regular season. Look great. Dak Prescott is doing his thing. CeeDee Lamb is doing his thing. Amari Cooper, when he was here, doing his thing. You had in the defense, Trayvon Diggs just taking sacks upon sacks. Then you had Deron Bland, who was taking sacks for pick six. Then he had 6 pick sixes, in that year when he broke into the league. That's just amazing. But what does he do? He just elevates that excitement, elevates the hope, just a little bit more. And of course, the trolls come out, right? We all know Stephen A, ESPN, always loves to troll at the Dallas Cowboys. For me, there is significant weight there, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys doing stuff. And who else feels that pressure the most? It's Dak Prescott. He's being paid the most in the league, and that's another thing people want to beat him up with. You're getting the most money. You got to get to the Super Bowl. Look at what the Eagles have done, and guys, that's actually annoying. Especially for me, on knowing that the Eagles have gotten there, and Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls. That is more than a lot of players can say. There's some players that have not even gotten to the Super Bowl for their whole career. And we're talking about players that are, Hall of Fame talent. Aaron Rodgers has only gone there once. For Jalen Hurts to get to 2 Super Bowls, that's ridiculous. Lamar Jackson, not even sniffed the Super Bowl, as well. Josh Allen, not even sniffed the Super Bowl as well. So, for Jalen Hurts to get there, it really hurts. But you can't take it away. Not only did he get to the Super Bowl, he was a Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, that's gotta hurt for a Dallas Cowboys fan. But hey, it is what it is. And it is really frustrating about the Cowboys, especially in the offseason, because here we go again, talking about another player who deserves to get paid, and we still haven't had the contract on, right? So Michael Parsons, arguably the best defensive player in football. And listen, I know people control, lots of other players, but hey, when Michael is on it, he's on it, right? And he's saying that it's going to cost the team more if they delay his extension. And it's not bluffing, right? Because Myles Garrett just reset the market for 40 million a year. Michael's still outperforming that. Let's be clear. So I don't see how Michael Parsons is not going to get more than 40 million a year. I don't see that. And the Cowboys have a habit of drawing these things out. Let's look at it. Zeke, Amari, Dak twice, CD, they even did that to Zach Martin the other time. Even the Marco Lawrence, it was drawn out as well. And listen, maybe I'm gonna look into it and see, teams that have delayed to pay their starters, who's actually gone to the Super Bowl. I remember a couple of years ago, Chris Long in the Kansas City Chiefs, he didn't start the first game and the Chiefs didn't look great. And then they immediately gave him a contract. And then he came in, but if I recall, he wasn't as dominant as he normally is, in terms of his performance and play on the field. I think it does matter. I think it makes a difference when the players are not all together. They can't build the chemistry. They can't get into that football shape because they're not practicing with real competition. Whether it's going to the camp when you have, the combined practices between other teams as well, even in the preseason, getting all those reps in the game, the excitement, all of that. I think it makes a huge difference. And listen, if I know the Cowboys, they're going to drag this thing on, preseason until the final day just before the game starts. And then you roll out Michael Parsons. Come on, Jerry. Let's do things a little bit better. Let's change things up. They say if you do the same thing all the time, isn't that insanity? So, guys, the Dallas Cowboys are always drama, right? And speaking of weapons, right? Speaking of weapons, George Pickens joins the Dallas Cowboys, right? Not really had a chance to really just talk about how I feel about that player. I love it. I don't just like it. I absolutely love it. Um, but he does ask the question, who's going to be that number three guy? Because the Dallas is all about triplets. We talked about, what happened back in the day when they used to win the Super Bowl, when they had the triplets with Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman. We've never really recreated that since the triplets was there. But I feel like, every team that's balanced in offense needs to have a triplet, right? You need to have a dominant running game, some good wide receivers, and, a good quarterback. And I think that you can take two of that out of three for the Dallas Cowboys in terms of quarterback and wide receiver. But there's questions to be had, right, about running back, also about tight ends. Now, if you look at the NFC is absolutely loaded with weapons right now. Weapons everywhere. You got Philly, they've got AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. Then you've got Malik Neighbors in the Giants doing his thing. Washington's got Deebo Samuel, and then they've got Terry McLaurin. If Dallas doesn't find that third piece, they could get left behind in the arms race. Simple as that. This season is going to come down to two things, right? For the Cowboys, health and leadership. If Dak delivers and Micah's happy, I think this team could finally get over the hump. Am I getting too excited? Drinking some of that Jerry juice, as they say, or, as Stephen A always talks about, those nauseating Dallas Cowboy fan. I don't know if I am. I think the team was significantly hampered with injuries last season. We're talking about CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons, Deron Bland, Trevor Diggs. I don't even know if he got on the field, at all. So if we're healthy, can we make some noise, right? So, I mean, listen, they could stumble, but don't be surprised if the rebuild conversation comes fast and loud, right? If this all goes to pots, as they say, at the end of the season. Guys, listen, I've enjoyed doing this. I know it's been solo and it's a lot more difficult or tricky, when you're by yourself. But I hope you love the content that I brought to you because we gotta keep this show going, right? So we looked at the rookie quarterbacks, showed some love to the international stars reshaping the NFL, and of course, tackled the drama brewing in Dallas. Now is your turn, guys. Hit me up in the comment section below. Who's your breakout QB in year two? And what do you make of the Cowboys? All in all, is it time to reset? Or do you think there's still something in this Dallas Cowboys team that can actually get to the Super Bowl? And if you haven't already, guys, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like as well and spread the word. More importantly, help us get to 25,000, subscribers. And this year, I want to try and get us to 50,000. Can you do that for us? Really, really appreciate all the people who are watching, leaving comments, in the channel. Really, really appreciate all of you. And thank you for watching, as well. And guys, next week, hopefully Matt's going to be here as well. He sends his love to all of you. And we'll be breaking down more things about the NFL. I know it's a bit quiet now because the players are in a break, but be sure we're going to have some content, to talk to you about next week as well. So whether you're tuning in from Texas, from Tottenham, from Lagos, Takwa Bay, stay loud. Enjoy the NFL because I certainly do. And guys, you take care of yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.
On the bed.